There you go. So I wanted to say welcome, welcome. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Some people are nodding, some people are thinking, weekend, what was that? I know, the 3-week classes go fast, don't they? They really do. I wanted to also point out there's a new attendance system, point system that they've introduced where they want to give people more points if they were able to stay for the whole Zoom class. I don't think that's been an issue here, but I think they're just encouraging people to stay the full time with full attention so they get everything they're coming for. And I see a few more people are here. Will's here, Jamaica's here, Diamond, Tanisha, Chelsea, Nicole, Tash, Kaylee, Diane, Angela. Angela's here twice. Charlene and Ray. Wait a minute. That's Monique. Monique, is that you? Okay. So what we're going to do, are there any questions to begin with? Anybody have any questions? How was the quiz?
There's some couple of things we should go over.
Yeah? What's your question? Diamond, what do you want to go over? Oh, you want to type? Okay. Hi, Will. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Will. Welcome, welcome. If you have any hey, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions about it, you can type them. You can stick around after class and ask me. You can email me. Okay? If you don't want to ask them now. Okay. Today we're going to talk about paragraphs, and it's interesting because you've been writing paragraphs a little bit last week. You wrote some paragraphs. You wrote a whole paper. But as I said, the heart of the course focuses on words and sentences the first week. The second week is focused on paragraphs, and the third week is focused on paper writing. So then they blend in some of the assignments. They sprinkle the paper writing throughout each of the 3 weeks, and they sprinkle some of the narrative, some of the paragraph writing throughout each of the 3 weeks so that it doesn't end up that the last part of the class, you just have paper after paper after paper. So they're trying to kind of spread that out. Excuse me, the process of writing paragraphs it begins on page 309. And we've been here before, but it says, we're gonna talk about what is a paragraph. We're gonna talk about topic sentences, distinguishing between topic sentences and titles, finding the controlling idea of topic sentences so that you'll be able to write really sharp ones, and then choosing controlling ideas. We may go on a little bit further into the details, but we're going to move on to illustration because the assignment today will be, I think, writing an illustration paragraph. No, it's a persuasive essay, possibly including illustration paragraphs. So what is a paragraph? Does anybody want to read on 309? The little gray box definition of a paragraph. Para is Greek for about, and graph is Greek for writing, so it's writing about. It's a group of sentences constructed to develop one main idea. A paragraph may stand by itself as a complete piece of writing, or it may be a section of a longer piece of writing, such as in an essay. And we're going to focus on 4 types of modes: illustration, narration, process analysis, and persuasion. And you can take that format and transfer it from a paragraph to also to an essay or a book. So that format is not just good for the paragraph writing. It's also a way you could construct and organize your thoughts for any type of writing. And there are actually more modes. We'll talk about them maybe in a little bit, in a couple of minutes. They come up. All right, if you want to turn your page to 311, we're going to look at topic sentences. Topic sentence, it says, states the main idea of a paragraph. It's the most general sentence of the paragraph. And all the other sentences should serve to explain, describe, extend, or support this main idea. I find this difficult. I don't know if you have this trouble too, but once I write it, sometimes I think, oh, that's such a beautiful sentence. It should stay in. Even if it doesn't fit, I want it to stay in. It's so hard to get rid of something once it's gotten into your heart or you feel like it really is a good sentence. But you have to kind of use the topic sentence as a guide, or the theme if you have it in your mind. If the sentence doesn't fit, it's got to go. You can take it and write a new paragraph about it. You can save it for a later paper, or you can sadly just put it aside. I find that easier to do with other people's writing than my own. I don't know. I find it easier to edit other people's writing in some way than my own, because I don't have in my mind what I was thinking, and so I can see where it doesn't make sense, maybe. But in my own writing, I already thought it, and it made sense to me, so I just put it on the paper. Anyway, they have two topic sentences here in these paragraphs, and they want you to read them to see how the main idea is stated in the topic sentence of the paragraph, and the other sentences explain, describe, extend, or support the topic sentence. The first one, does anyone want to read this? It's a pretty sad one. Sad for a Monday morning?
I'll read it.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
I went through a difficult period after my father died. I was moody and sullen at home. I spent most of the time in my bedroom listening to music on the radio, which made me feel even worse. I stopped playing soccer after school with my friends. My grades in school went down. I lost my appetite and seemed to get into arguments with everybody. My mom began to look worried, but I couldn't bring myself to participate in any activity with any spirit. It seemed life had lost its joy for me.
So each of those... Yes.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
So each of those sentences kind of explain how the period was so difficult. Lost appetite, stopped playing soccer with friends, even stopped listening to music. Life had lost its joy. So all those sentences do kind of extend that idea, explain it. Nicely done. Can you read the happy part?
Yes.
Thank you.
Fortunately, something happened that spring that brought me out of my depression. My uncle, who had been disabled while serving in the Army, came to live with us. I learned many years later that my mother had asked him to come and live with us in hope that he could bring me out of myself. I, on the other hand, was told that it was my responsibility to help my uncle feel at home. My mother's plan worked. My uncle and I were both lonely people. A friendship began that was to change both of our lives for the better.
And so fortunately something happened that spring that brought me out of my depression. Her uncle, and she's explaining the whole story of how he came. So in the first sentence, every sentence is kind of a new detail, but in the second sentence, it's sort of an extended illustration to explain that topic sentence. So there are different ways that you can support your topic sentence. One is with discrete little sentences and ideas, and one is one extended story or one extended example. I've told you before, I think that the topic sentence is well placed at the beginning. Your book doesn't totally agree with that, but their example showed it at the beginning to begin with. I think it's just a nice place to start. Do you want to turn to page 316? We're going to distinguish the topic sentence from the titles. I'll give you an example. The title, Backpacking in the Mountains. It's kind of nice. You know what it is, but you don't know where you're going with it. The topic sentence is maybe backpacking in the mountains last year was an exhausting experience. So you find out what it meant about backpacking in the mountains. Because again, the title gives you the main idea, but it doesn't tell you where the essay is really going to take you. Backpacking in the mountains last year was an exhilarating experience or an exhausting experience. Two different kind of topics. Oh, the stress of college registration. Topic sentence, college registration can be stressful. You all do that online or do you do that in person? Register for classes. Is it stressful to register?
Well, the classes are already in line. We just follow whatever the schedule, what we're supposed to take. They'll give us the books in advance and that'll be it.
Oh, that sounds heavenly. That just sounds wonderful. Can I tell you how it was when I was in college? I was 18 years old and you had to register for your classes. And this is what they did. They put us in the armory where the military students used to practice. They would open up, it's like a giant gymnasium, giant. And you would go to different sections, the science section, the math section, and you would find a table that had the class you wanted, and you would get in line with all your papers. And you would stand, and someone at the table would handwrite everything. Then you would take your papers and run down to the next class, hoping you got in line in time to get in. And they had sent us all times according to alphabet so that we wouldn't be there with all of the class. And I really feel bad for the people whose names were at the last of that list, because sometimes you would stand in line and they would close the section. And then the advice would be show up in class and hope somebody drops. You have 3 days to get in. And it was just chaos. I mean, it was almost survival of the fittest. You just had to run, sprint from your math class to your science class to your English class. And if you wanted to change, you had to go back the next day and get in line again. Oh my gosh, it was chaos. So I can relate to this, and I'm so happy that you don't have that experience. All right, so let's distinguish a topic sentence from a title. Exercise 5. Number 1, the benefits of a college education. Is that a topic sentence or a title?
Title.
Title. By the way, some titles are sentences, some titles are fragments. This is a fragment. Number 2, the outstanding achievements of aviator Amelia Earhart. Topic sentence or title?
Title.
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 Yeah, how about the president's cabinet proposed 2 possible solutions? Topic sentence or title?
Topic sentence.
Exactly. You're good at this. Number 4, the basis of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Topic sentence or title?
Title.
Title. It is not a full sentence. In fact, it is a topic sentence. I mean, it is a title, not a topic sentence. It's not even a sentence at all. Good. Number 5, the Mediterranean diet is perhaps the healthiest diet in the world.
That's a sentence.
It is.
Topic sentence.
So it's probably a topic sentence. Good. And the astounding beauty of the Rocky Mountains at dusk.
Title.
Title. You're good. You're good. Very nice. We're going to move on a little bit to finding the topic in a topic sentence. Now that you're good at recognizing them, you'll probably always work. So on page 318, finding the topic in a topic sentence. To find the topic, you ask yourself what subject the writer is going to discuss. In the first sentence that follows, they've underlined the topic. So pick the topic in the second example. So in the first sentence, backpacking in the mountains last year was an exhausting experience. The topic is underlined. It is backpacking in the mountains last year. Similarly, for college registration can be stressful. The topic is college registration. And they want you to note that you can do something fancy. A topic sentence can or may have a 2-part topic. The differences between softball and baseball may not be readily apparent to the person who is unfamiliar with the games, softball and baseball. That's the topic. Are you ready? We'll do 2 or 3 with this. Number 1, remodeling an old house can be frustrating. What is the topic?
Remodeling.
Remodeling an old house.
Yeah, exactly. Number 6, the huge trade imbalance of the United States has several sobering consequences.
Trade imbalance.
Oh, very nice. And here's one, number 10. Of all the years in college, the first year is usually the most demanding.
First year of college.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Very nice. So if you move on to page 319. Exercise 10. What? 319? At the bottom of 319, it asks about what is a controlling idea? And this is the second part of a topic sentence. The controlling idea is the part of the topic sentence that expresses the point the writer wants to make about the topic. Backpacking trips is the topic. But what about them? Well, backpacking trips are exhausting. The controlling idea is exhausting. And we've talked about this a little bit. That's why I'm kind of going through it, not as long. A particular topic could have any number of possible controlling ideas, depending on the focus of the writer. On the topic backpacking, 3 writers might want to make different points. For example, a family backpacking trip can be so much more satisfying than a trip to an amusement park. There, it's satisfying. That's the controlling idea. Our recent backpacking trip was a disaster. Disaster is the controlling idea. And the third example, a backpacking trip should be a part of every teenager's experience. Should be a part of every teenager's experience is the controlling idea. If we were to look at exercise 11, we could find some topics and controlling ideas. So let's do that. Let's look at number 1. Vigorous exercise is a good way to reduce the effects of stress on the body. What is the topic? That's part of it. Vigorous exercise is the topic.
Reducing stress.
Exactly. Number 2. Buffalo and Toronto differ in 4 major ways.
Differ.
That's the controlling idea. Good. And number 3, television violence causes aggressive behavior in children.
Causes.
Okay. Causes aggressive behavior, perhaps. I know that's been debated, but I think they're saying now that it does. Oh, training a cat to do tricks takes a great deal of patience. So the topic is training a cat to do tricks. Oh, training a cat. The controlling idea is to do tricks. This is why I can never have surprises. I always say the answer. Don't say it. One time, yeah, I'm the wrong person to read these. I say the answer. I'm sorry about that. Let's turn to page 27 and talk about unity in a paragraph, okay? It's a little bit further back, a little bit towards the beginning of the book. Okay. Page 27. Is that right? Sure enough is. If you edit all paragraphs need unity and they need coherence. Unity means they need to all be focused on the same idea. And coherence means they need to kind of make sense and hang together and flow. So if we're going to look at unity, all parts relating to the central theme on the bottom of 27. In good writing, every sentence connects to the subject, with every detail directly related to the main idea. All the parts go together to make up the whole. The result is a feeling of oneness in the paragraph. Nothing is extra jammed in there, so that by the end of the piece, the writing feels complete. The reader should have no trouble then grasping what the writer's main idea was. And I have sent out a handout on paragraph unity. This is it. Did you get it on email?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Does anybody want to read the beginning? This is written by Richard Nordquist. He writes about writing all the time, and that's him up here. And he is writing about paragraph unity. He has guidelines, examples, and exercises. Anybody want to start this paragraph up here? You're gonna get corny old humor from Josh Billings. Consider the postage stamp, advised humorist Josh Billings. Its usefulness consists in the ability to stick to one thing until it gets there. So the same might be said about an effective paragraph. Unity is the quality of sticking to one idea from start to finish, with every sentence contributing to the central purpose, the controlling idea of that paragraph. And then he talks about the topic sentence contains the main idea upon which the paragraph is developed. In a unified paragraph, all the supporting sentences serve to illustrate, clarify, make more clear, and or explain the main ideas set forth in the topic sentence. And then the best way that they've thought of to kind of demonstrate how this works is to stick in extra sentences and see if you can find a sentence in this piece that he's going to bring about to see that what sentence maybe doesn't fit, kind of disrupts the unity. And so he's taken a paragraph from this man who's a writer named M. Scott Momaday. He was here about two years ago in the middle of the winter. I was teaching, I couldn't go see him, and I kind of missed out. But he's a Native American writer, and he's writing about the people in the Pueblo of Jemez in New Mexico prepare for the Feast of San Diego. And they have upset the unity of this paragraph by adding one sentence that's not directly connected. See if you can find that sentence. Does anybody want to read the whole thing? Anybody been to New Mexico? So this might be familiar to you. You might have been able to see it. There is one thing I wanted to show you. I don't know if I have a pen. I had some markers here earlier. Vigas, they talk about vigas in this. Vigas are just big round ends of logs that stick outside of a building. And they're usually up at the ceiling and they go in, but the end of them might be sticking out in southwestern buildings. And so they're just 3 or 4 logs sticking out of the top of the building, unfinished beams. And because they just they go across the ceiling, but then they stick out of the walls. And then you have a little hook outside that's as big as a log. You can hang chili strings or you can hang laundry, I suppose. But most people decorate them for holidays. They hang strings of hot chilies that are red. And as they dry, they hang them up to dry, like we hang up garlic, or sometimes you see other leaves of bay leaves to dry. They hang up the chili peppers. And when they dry, they get a little translucent and the light goes through them and they almost look like stained glass. It's really pretty. But the viga just means it's a beam. All right, who wants to read this? The activity in the Pueblo.
I can do it if nobody else wants to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love a volunteer. Yes, please.
Let me just get to my screen, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. The activity in the Pueblo reached a peak on the day before the Feast of San Diego, November 12th. It was on that day, an especially brilliant day, in which the winter held off and the sun shone like a flare, that Jemez became one of the fabulous cities of the world. In the preceding days, the women had plastered the houses, many of them, and they were clean and beautiful like bone in the high light. The strings of chilies at the Vegas had darkened a little and taken on a deeper, softer sheen. Ears of colored corn were strung at the doors, and fresh cedar boughs were laid about, setting a whole wild fragrance on the air. The women were baking bread in the outdoor ovens. Here and there, men and women were at the wood piles, chopping, taking up loads of firewood for their kitchens for the coming feast. Year-round, the artisans of Jemez, known internationally for their crafts, would create beautiful basketry, embroidery,
I'm sorry. Give me a kiss. I appreciate you.
Exquisite stone sculpture, moccasins, jewelry. Even the children were at work. The little boys looked after the stock, and the little girls carried babies about. There were gleaming antlers on the rooftops, and smoke arose from all the chimneys.
I see your booty.
Oh, that was really nice. Make sure you're going to mute. Make sure everybody's on mute so that we can hear. who wants to take a run at this and say what sentence they don't think matched? James, Jimmy, which
Yeah.
sentence do you think doesn't match?
Oh, I was just listening to her voice. I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying.
Oh,
I think
Kinda
the
like
part
those-
about the little kids carrying and
oh, maybe. Yeah,
Children
because
at
all the
work.
other work was done by adults, women. That's one thing. I think you could make a case for that. They said that they added year-round the artisans of Hemes is our distracting addition to Mama Day's passage. The added sentence upsets the unity by offering information that isn't relevant to the main idea of getting ready for the feast itself, but this is more general,
But I think
year-round.
it speaks to the type of community. It looks like they make a lot of things that time of year. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think that's why writing is an art. It is, it kind of, it depends on the writer's intent and how they see the paragraph, what fits. Well, this is going to be leading us into the greatest activity. On the next page, you see practice exercise in paragraph unity. It's another paragraph from the same book, The Names, a Memoir by N. Scott Momaday. And it's describing the end of a day, a very busy day before the Feast of San Diego. They've added a sentence that's not directly connected to the author's main idea. And I think you could have some good discussion around this. I was thinking we could take 3 to 4 minutes in a group, maybe I'll give you 5 minutes in a breakout session, and everyone in the group can read this and discuss this paragraph at the bottom of the second page that starts later in the dusky streets, and decide which sentence you think is not directly connected to the author's main idea. And I think that could be a nice thing, a profitable thing to discuss. So I'm going to put you randomly in groups of 3, maybe 4. And once you're in there, you can read this, and then you can discuss which sentence you want to jettison. And then we'll come back and you can share it with the whole group. Okay? So here we go. We're going into breakout rooms, although and again, I think it's just going to be 4 people, and I'm going to do it randomly. I'm trying to find my little mouse pointer. Oh, he's over in the third computer. There he is. Where is my little mouse? There he is. Honey, I can't get it to do it. Honey, I can't get it to do it. Can you bring this up? My technician. Right here. Breakout rooms. No, right there. No, lower. Right there. Good. And say, create 4. Yeah. All right. Open all rooms. See you in a bit. That's it. Thank you. You have to join. You have to join to go. You don't have to agree to come back, but you have to agree to go. Yeah, they have 3. They have 5. They have 4. Okay. Good. Thank you. I couldn't find the mouse. What? No. Let's see. Good, good, good. Ooh. 3 more minutes. Okay. Kim, Chelsea, Tamika, Nicole, Jimmy, Charlene. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, I don't see Kelly Rideau. Oh, I do see Kelly. I don't see. I don't see Alexis. Nope. Nope. Okay. Pruitt. Oh, wait. She's there. So Charlene. Tanisha. Okay, here we go. Yay. 40, 47, 46, 45. Thirty seconds. 30 seconds. 17, 16, 15. Open, open. Okay. So everybody's back. Can you hear me? How'd it go?
I was in
Good.
2 rooms again and couldn't know. Everybody could hear me, but I couldn't hear them.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, then this will be exceptionally interesting to you to hear what they said. And it's nice that everyone got to hear
I
your voice.
gave my input, but I couldn't hear them.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, tell
That's
us,
okay.
Angela, which sentence did you think should not be in this paragraph?
I thought the one about the natural building material.
Oh, adobe, a natural building material used for several thousand years. Adobe is composed of sand and straw. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why did you think that? Why do you say that?
because it didn't have nothing to do with describing the end of the busy night. It was describing the building.
You make an excellent point.
I might be wrong though.
Let's hear from another group. Let's hear from Nicole's group. Nicole Harper. What did your group decide?
We kind of had two. We were kind of torn.
Okay. Let's hear.
The coffee.
Oh, why do you say that? That's interesting.
Because at the end of the night, I mean, some people do drink coffee, but it's like full buckets full of fried bread. Like it didn't flow.
Oh,
It flowed to us.
I see what you're saying. It didn't make sense at the end of the night to be making coffee, so you thought maybe that one had been added.
Right, or fried bread.
Excellent point. Interesting.
Or the men sitting in buckets.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
And they had the old men in their blankets on the ground. Oh, buckets. I don't see that one. But the buckets, the one about the buckets.
Buckets of fried bread and the men in their blankets. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, now we have two things to think about. This is interesting. What other group have we not heard from? We haven't heard from Charlene. Have we heard from your group? Which sentence did your group decide maybe shouldn't be there?
We were a bit confused, but I think Again, which one was it that we said? Because there was two of them.
Yeah, we were like Nicole's group. We were torn between the Adobe construction, like the materials, but also at the end when he talks about on the edge of sleep hearing coyotes, like the topic of the sentence seems to be the Navajo camp. Like, I don't know. We were kind of more towards the cooking, the sounds, all that sort of thing. So we didn't know.
Because that was all within the camp and the coyotes were outside. I see where you're going. Charlene, which one did you tend to?
I think the one at the very end, on the very edge of sleep, I heard coyotes in the hills.
Okay.
But the problem is like it all sounded like it went together, so I thought it was very tricky.
Yeah, now I'm starting to think they maybe interjected several sentences to make us think about this because everybody has made a really strong case. I think that's why the discussion was kind of interesting, to think about writers' choices. And there's another group. Have we heard from Kaylee's group? Kaylee Combs, have we heard from your group?
I was kicked out of my group as soon as it started, so.
Were you unruly? Is that what happened? They
guess.
said, oh, she's come in and she's causing trouble in a Zoom meeting.
Out of the whole Zoom meeting at that point.
Yeah. I am sorry that happened to you. I don't know. That's probably something that I did. I apologize to you. Do you want to speak up?
No.
Since your voice wasn't heard, would you like to be heard now?
No.
No, okay. Okay. You know, is there anyone else? Did I get all the groups? I'm not sure. Will. No? Jimmy. Oh, Will, what did your group decide should go?
The coyotes, the same one Charlene was just talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I can see why a lot of people said that. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in?
The whole thing.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say
There are several things that you think shouldn't be there. Yeah. Maybe the paragraph is just too full of extraneous ideas, too many things in different ideas. It's possible. I was really interested in some of the sensory imagery. The mutton sizzled, you could hear it. Is there anything else you could hear?
The coyotes.
Yeah, if
But-
that sentence is in there, if that sentence isn't in there, then that's gone. Has anybody ever seen a coyote in real life? Yeah. I saw my first
Not in
wild
my
live
yard.
coyote last spring with my dog. We just left. We saw him. I was walking in a park a couple of years ago and it said, you should be familiar with our coyote policy. And I thought, coyote policy? That's a new idea to me. And it basically said, leave the coyotes alone. And I thought I would have done that, but that's good to know. And I saw one a couple last spring. I said, I wonder why that dog's loose in the park. Oh, that's not a dog. That's a coyote. And then my dog was a puppy then, and he had a ball, and I thought, he's going to run up to that coyote. I better go. And we just left. Yeah. So he was fine. It was exciting. I hope you never see a wild live coyote that close. All right, thank you. I don't have any definitive answer on this because I think you have all made really good cases. Thank you for your participation. That was wonderful. We're going to move on to illustration. Are you ready? Page 345. We're going to talk about illustration as a way to organize, where you do a topic sentence and then every bit of your text is an example or examples that illustrate that point, that make it clear. So on 345, it says a main idea must be supported by details. Using an illustration is one of the best ways to do this. And then it says illustration, which is often called example or exemplification, I don't know if anybody calls it that, but okay, is a method of developing an idea by providing one or more instances of that idea. Illustrations or examples clarify the idea, make the idea more convincing, or make an abstract idea more concrete. So one example of American craftsmanship is the Tiffany lamp. So there's an example. I like those Tiffany lamps, those stained glass lamps that sit on desks. And writers can use illustration in three basic ways. One, to provide a list of brief examples given without any particular grouping. For example, as a child, I had pen pals from all over the world. These included my cousin Britt Marie from Sweden, Ying from Hong Kong, Simone from France, Etsuko from Japan, and several children from Kenya. So they just have this example of all the pen pals that they had, or many of the pen pals that they had. The second way you can use examples or illustration, topic sentence, to provide a list of brief examples where you kind of group them. As a child, I had pen pals from all over the world, and here they're grouped. From Europe were my Swedish cousin Britt Marie and a pretty French girl named Simone. From the Pacific came the beautiful monthly letters of Etsuko and an occasional postcard from Ying in Hong Kong. Finally, from Africa came a number of charming letters from several school children in Kenya. Wow. So they grouped it. And the third thing you can do is to select one item from a possible list and develop it more fully into one little example, a longer example, called an extended example, possibly consisting of an anecdote, a story, which uses the principles of storytelling or narration. So here, topic sentence. As a child, I had pen pals from all over the world. It all started when my cousin Britt Marie in Sweden sent me a funny little letter in half English, half Swedish. Sitting on our front porch, swatting flies one morning in August, I was considering walking the 2 miles uptown to the library when the mail carrier handed me an envelope with colorful stamps on it. It was probably the first piece of mail I had ever received. I barely knew I had a cousin Britt Marie, but there she was, a young girl writing to me from just across the Atlantic Ocean. Writing just to me from across the Atlantic Ocean. I was hooked that very day. Although I eventually had pen pals from many other countries, Britt Marie remained my favorite. In fact, we still communicate now by email, at least once every few weeks. So this is one person, and they built the story around that example. So they used narration. They told a story to be the example to prove their topic sentence. That's just some ways you can use it. I wanted to get to this part where the writer can find examples. Where does the writer find examples? One, personal experience and knowledge of the world. Very valuable insight. They say, write what you know. Writers finding supporting examples for their work everywhere, beginning with their own experience. Also from your imagination. When writers need examples to clarify their ideas, they sometimes can come upon something from their imagination. It works for humor a lot. They tell jokes, they tell stories. Or you can start, imagine the following situation, or consider this hypothetical case. And you can kind of come up with an example from your imagination. Interviews and surveys, kind of personal research. And then outside research, printed or electronic media from outside sources can provide specific examples from your work. And I wanted to talk about this in terms of all of your research. If you're going to use outside research, Wikipedia is generally frowned upon by teachers because you probably know this. It's open editor. So people are really happy. They think it's free from bias because it has no editors. But on the other hand, it's free from editors, so anybody can put
I looked
something
for some
in.
peanut butter cookies yesterday, but they ain't had none.
Oh, wait. Turn your microphone off.
Tamika, don't nobody want to know you want no peanut butter crackers.
Well, now I'm hungry too. I did see a woman on the news about 2 years ago, and she was insisting that college professors everywhere are saying that Wikipedia is a valid source. And then I noticed that she worked for Wikipedia, and I began to question her non-biased opinion there. If you have to use Wikipedia, what I would do is I would go to the bottom of it and find the original sources and go to them. Wikipedia can be edited by anybody. They've done research. It's largely edited by younger white men who seem to have a lot of time and some technical skill, and perhaps a worldview that makes sense to them, but that means that a lot of women aren't featured on Wikipedia as often. And then some people just do things with it to be funny or for political reasons. About 10 years ago, they found out that some of the congressional interns, they used a common computer, so they never did determine who it was. They had gone to pages of different Congress people, and they had edited their page to say things like their hobbies were, you know, biting dogs, kicking dogs, and you know, doing terrible things. And so it's sometimes there's a chance that it may not be objective. Last year, they put horse head faces. Remember when the horse head meme was all over the internet? They put that all over Wikipedia, and you could go to find out what someone looked like, and you would see that horse mask. And one time a few years ago, a political candidate misspoke and said that Paul Revere was not only riding through towns, he was getting off and running up steeples and ringing the church bells, which he wasn't, but it was probably an honest mistake. However, this politician's followers went and changed Paul Revere's Wikipedia page to make it look like that's what Paul Revere had done. So be careful with Wikipedia. If you want to use things on the internet, you probably know about the endings. .gov is generally governmental research. .com is generally they're trying to sell you something. So they may not be as objective. Also, things at the top of Google, we often think that they're that way because they're more right. They're really there because they're convenient, and people don't go to this 10th page of Google. They go to the first page of Google and usually click on the first or second thing. So the algorithms just keep putting them at the top. You also notice in the box on the right of the Google search engines, those are the paid for ones. They've put them in a little box, but they pay to be up at the top. So evaluate your source if you can. If you go to peer-reviewed journals from the library or Gale, which is our database that we have in the online library here, they've collected or curated journals from your different professions so that they're all peer-reviewed journals that have been evaluated by people in the profession at the highest level so that the information is new, is current, is correct. There are two other things. Have you ever heard of confirmation bias? Perhaps you have. Confirmation bias is a thing that I think we all fall prey to. They've done studies that we like and respond to journal articles, news articles, sites on the internet that make more sense to us based on our worldview, right? So if we already are looking and we already have a belief and it sort of fits in with it, we think, oh, that's true. We are much more likely to think it is true if it confirms what we already feel. So one of the ways to maybe avoid confirmation bias is to read 2 or 3 different sources from different types of sources, so that you get exposed to a lot of them and you can see, oh, this isn't just one article that I ran across that meshed with my views, but other people agree with it as well. And then you can kind of see if it's right. That's something to look out for when you're doing research. And again, when you're copying research into your own Word article for later use, be sure and take the information so that you can cite your sources on your reference page. We have 9 minutes. And I wanted to talk briefly about reading. I wanted to spend some time reading some of these illustration examples. And there's some really nice ones at the back. Page 356. 356 has a model paragraph for illustration. Does anybody want to read it? This is a following paragraph taken from The Joy of Reading and Writing, Superman and Me by Sherman Alexie. It's a passion for reading. Anybody in here an avid reader? Anybody read a lot? How many people read a lot or have time? Yeah? When I was younger, I read all the time, and now I don't read nearly as much, and I miss it. I really did enjoy reading when I was younger and I had a lot of time. Oh,
I used to work for the library for 21 years.
oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, dream job. Oh my gosh.
Hello,
Oh my
Angela.
gosh. Yeah.
Wow.
When I was a little kid, I used to read the same books my mom had, and sometimes if they were too adult, she would just hide them. She would never tell me no, they would just disappear. But then I had to learn to go to the library, and I loved the library. I loved reading all those books. Anyway, here we go. My father, who was one of the few Indians who went to Catholic school on purpose, was an avid reader of Westerns, spy thrillers, murder mysteries, gangster epics, basketball player biographies, and anything else he could find. He bought his books by the pound at Dutch's Pawn Shop, Goodwill, Salvation Army, and Value Village. When he had extra money, he bought new novels at supermarkets, convenience stores, and hospital gift shops. Our house was filled with books. They were stacked in crazy piles in the bathroom, bedrooms, and living room. In a fit of unemployment-inspired creative energy, my father built a set of bookshelves and soon filled them with a random assortment of books about the Kennedy assassination, Watergate, the Vietnam War, and the entire 23-book series of the Apache Westerns. My father loved books. Since I loved my father with an aching devotion, I decided to love books as well. It's an illustration paragraph with a topic sentence way at the bottom. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. Here's another illustration paragraph about shopping. How many of you love to shop? Yeah, well, here's a passage about shopping for blue jeans. Do you want to read it? This is from Phyllis Rose's essay, Shopping and Other Spiritual Adventures, a spiritual adventure even. Shopping in America today. Shopping for blue jeans. Try to think of a kind of shopping in which the object is all important and the pleasure of shopping is at a minimum. For example, consider the purchase of blue jeans. I buy new blue jeans as seldom as possible because the experience is so humiliating. For every pair that looks good on me, 15 look grotesque. But even shopping for blue jeans at Main Surplus on First Street, no frills, bare bones shopping, is an event in the life of the spirit. Once again, I have to come to terms with the fact that I will never look good in Levi's. Much as I want to be mainstream, I never will be. So each detail here explains why sometimes shopping is not fun when the object is important and the pleasure is reduced. Yeah. Well, that's a sad little story. I thought it was going to be fun. We have just a few more minutes, and I wanted to tell you that for tomorrow, you're going to be doing the assignment that's on Moodle. It is another paper assignment journal, and it's based on these readings about, is it bullying? Is it bullying? Yeah, bullying. And about what
Cyberbullying.
cyberbullying in particular, and what responsibilities, if any, we have as members of, the families, as schools, to prevent cyberbullying or to address it. And it's an interesting and kind of timely topic. So you can read one of the articles and you can respond to it, I think, or you don't have to do any research if you don't want to. And those are kind of interesting to read. A lot of people have a lot of really interesting and good ideas. I've enjoyed reading those from the students in the past. So that's what you'll do.
About it.
Yeah? Yes?
Is it going to be like the last paper where it's like, we respond to the article, or do we write our own thoughts, or like?
Either one. Also, I noticed that people were doing cover pages on theirs. That's lovely. I didn't require them because on your paper before, because I felt like it was a short paper and it was even called a journal entry. So I said, you don't have to. If you still want to, you can. People were doing beautiful cover pages from APA, usually from APA 6. They came out with APA 7 in October of last year. So now you don't have to do the running head. If you've seen that, you don't have to do the running head. And this is what students really like. You can boldface your title. Students often write a title and they think this is like the cover of my paper. This is the advertising, and they want to make it big and they want to make it bold and they want to make it underlined. And they sometimes want to use, some sort of fancy font, and they're still saying no to all of that, except you can boldface it. And I think that's nice. So if you want to put a cover page, feel free. You can put the title of your paper, your name, and the date. That's all I would require. There are 6 maximum things the teacher can require, and those are the 3 minimum. I don't require you to put the name of the school because we're all at the same school. And I don't require you to put the name of the class because you're just sending it to me on Moodle. Are there other questions? No? Okay. Well, then I want to say thank you all for coming. We're off to a good start. We did breakout sessions. There was reading. Everybody was, I think, heard. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for coming and good luck. Bye-bye and have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Boswell. Enjoy your day.
Thank
you.
you.
You as
Have
well.
a good day.
Thank you. You too, Angela.
It's a beautiful day.
Tanika,
good.
find them peanut butter crackers.
That's funny. Happens to the best of us. Bye, Tanisha. Bye, Kelly R.
Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Well, goodbye. Thanks for coming.